Welcome to A Mouthful of Sin once again. I'm your boy. I'm Anthony D. Bell, and I'm your host.
Let's see what we working with.
Woo! This is my kitchen, my rules, and my swag. Ooh, man.
Everything I cook is pretty much special. I'm gonna put it all in. Let it ride. I got a good show for you today, so I hope you're hungry. I'll see you soon.
Yo, 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 it's your boy Anthony D. Bell, and welcome back to A Mouthful of Sin, people. Now listen, today we have a true comfort food. We're making beef bone soup. Now, I was first introduced to this recipe when I was about 9 or 10 years old by my grandma. That's right, my grandma again. She's the reason why I got all this. Anyway, so we're gonna go on this journey today, but before we do that, I need to put on my apron because I got another one of my good shirts on. Nothing but good shirts, you understand what I'm saying? So look here, today we're gonna do this beef bone soup, and I'm gonna go over these ingredients with you. Now you can make this at home, it's very simple. So to start off, the most important ingredient is the beef bone and the beef. We have the beef bone here, which is packed with bone marrow. That's how you get your beef broth. And we have your big pieces of beef here. We're gonna cook this down to that beef is nice and tender. We're gonna go with some fresh bell pepper today, some nice firm chopped tomatoes. You know you gotta have the onion, about 1/4 of an onion. We got some cabbage, nice firm cabbage there. We're gonna go ahead and throw in some celery, some nice fresh organic carrots. We're gonna use some nice potatoes. These are russets here. We got more onion because the more onion, the more better, baby. We got some green bell peppers, some red bell peppers. Now these bell peppers really help with the flavor. They make your beef bone soup so hearty. Got a little salt, we got some pepper, and we have some garlic powder. So to kick this show off, we're gonna go ahead and put a little oil in our pan here. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our beef bone and our beef. And we're gonna season that up a little bit. Now this is how you start your beef broth. This is the most important part of this menu. Rinse my hands off a little bit here. So we're gonna go ahead and put a little seasoning on this beef bone and these beef cubes. Start with a little salt. A little pepper. A little garlic powder. We're gonna let that roll for a minute. Now, as I said before, this is how your beef broth starts. So we're gonna let this roll, we're gonna let this brown. We're gonna flip it, stir it a little bit, make sure all the sides are brown. Then we're gonna go ahead and transfer that to this pot here, add a little water, let it roll for a little while, and then we're gonna add our vegetables. This is gonna be so good. Now, when I season my food, it's to my taste because it's my show. My rules, my kitchen, and my swag, baby. That's right. It's your boy Anthony D. Bell, and we rolling. Now, beef bone soup is really good for you. It's high in vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, and amino acids. And that's mainly because of the marrow in the bone. So this is kind of like a guiltless pleasure. That's what I call it. We're gonna go ahead and turn this meat a little bit so we can brown it on all sides. Turn these bones as well. Nice and browned. Before we move it over to the pot, turn my fire up just a little bit. And I'm gonna go ahead and season this side. A little salt. Doesn't take much because the bone marrow creates a rich flavor in this beef bone soup. That's the key, is the bone marrow. Pepper. Little garlic powder. So we're gonna let this roll for a minute and let this brown. Then we'll transfer it over here, add a little water. Let that cook for about 30, 45 minutes till that meat is nice and tender, because we want that beef muscle to break down. So when you spoon that soup out of that bowl and you bite it with that carrot, that onion, and that celery, and that cabbage in it, and that tender beef, shut the front damn door. It's gonna be on like a light, baby. And this, I promise you, will be the best beef bone soup you've ever tasted, because it's full of flavor. That's how I do it right here on a Mouthful of Sin. They don't call it a Mouthful of Sin for no reason, because when you eat, you're like, God, dog. My Lord, this can't be right. I'm your boy, Anthony D. Bell. Find me right here on a Mouthful of Sin. I'll be back in 2 and 2. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a side dish with beef bone soup, but I tell you what goes good with it. Now, I know it's not your traditional side dish, but some sweet cornbread. Boy, you dip it in that beef broth. Hot damn, you got yourself something, boy. It's just wrong, but it puts you straight to sleep. You like go comatose. You be like, man, like, oh shit, my meat burning. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. Some people say I got an old spirit living inside of me. I believe it. Wow. Look at there, look at there. Now, if you look at this beef bone here, this is all bone marrow. When we start to boil this beef, all that marrow comes out into the water and makes a taste that I just can't explain in words. It's simply delectable, like nothing you've ever tasted before. Now that we've got our beef seared and our bone seared, we're gonna add it to the big pot. Go ahead and add some water, some seasonings. We're gonna let it roll for about 30, 45 minutes till that beef gets nice and tender. And just before it's done, we're gonna add our vegetables. So I'm gonna pull this pot to the front burner here. Light a little fire under it. We're gonna add our water. Need a little bit more water, because you wanna cover your meat and your bone to make sure all of it is being boiled. that's good. Now, if you see, the water is kind of light right now, but as we cook this, the water is gonna get really dark. And what that means is that that marrow is coming out and it's seasoning that water. Now, I know a lot of you go out and buy those cartons of beef broth, vegetable broth, or chicken broth, but this is the true way you make beef broth. I mean, I think I can live off of beef broth, and that's the truth. So we're gonna let this roll for a little while, but I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more of the garlic powder, some of the pepper, a little bit of salt. Now, you don't need much. I'm gonna stir that around a little bit, and I'm gonna put the lid on that and let that roll for a minute. Get nice and mixed up. Put the top on it, reduce the fire just a little bit. And then once it's about done, we'll add the cabbage, the onions, some diced tomato, some chopped tomatoes. You don't want the tomato pieces too small because you want hearty bites. Soup is it's just about getting full and everything tasting rich, and you want big chunks. You want a spoon with a piece of meat in it, some tomato in it, some cabbage, some carrot, some celery, and a little onion in there. In that heavenly broth. You understand what I'm saying? It's your boy, and it's always full flavor, right here on A Mouthful of Sin, baby. So listen, now it's time to add our vegetables to this beef bone soup. Yep, it is time. First, I'm gonna go ahead and drop some tomatoes in. Go ahead and put my celery in. Get my carrots in there. Now, I'll tell you something. When I was a kid and my grandma used to make this soup, it was so dang good. I mean, she would make hers, but she would use short ribs. And what she would do is she would cook those short ribs so the short rib would be like this long. And she would cook it till the meat shrank on a bone about that big. So you have bone out here, you have the meat in here. And her beef bone soup was so good, I would literally lick and suck the bones. And you know, when you go to a fine steak restaurant and you have a steak with the bone in, the steak tastes so much better because it's the bone that makes the meat taste better. And it's the same with beef bone soup. That's why you cook the beef bone soup with the bone and the meat combination. Now, you can do a beef bone soup that has the meat attached to the bone and you'll get the same effect. But if you do all meat and then all bone with a little bit of meat on it, make you want to slap the hell out of somebody. I'm here to be a witness. I eat this beef bone soup about once a month. So we're gonna go ahead and throw the cabbage in there. Gonna throw the green bell pepper. We got some red bell pepper we're gonna go ahead and throw in the mix. Get our potatoes in there and the rest of this cabbage. My, my, my. And you cannot forget the onion. Gotta have that onion in there. Put some of that in there. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a stir. You can smell the aroma already. Let this cook down a little bit and soften up your vegetables just a bit. You don't want them too soft and mushy. Now remember, whenever you add a vegetable to a soup at the end, you want to turn your fire up just a little bit to bring it back to a rolling boil and then reduce it to a simmer. Because what happens is when you add the vegetables, it takes down the heat in the pot. So you want to get it back to a boil, down to a simmer. Back to a boil, down to a simmer. You see what I'm saying? Back to a boil, down to a simmer. It's your boy, Anthony D. Bell. Stir this up just a little bit more. Oh my God. I'm a bad man, as my dad would say. Dad's in his late 70s. Always talking about, I'm a bad man. I'm like, no, you got a bad back. Wow. I'm gonna add just a little bit more of this garlic powder to the mix. Now remember, this is to my taste. So when you buy the cookbook, it'll have exact measurements, and you can always change those measurements because it's gonna be to your taste. My taste is different than your taste. You know, it is what it is. The key is that you're happy and your palate is pleased. Look at all those beautiful colors. You got that bone in there. You got that tomato. You got them carrots. You got the beef. Oh my God. Wow. We're gonna let that go for a minute. We're gonna check it in about another 10, 15 minutes, see where we're at, and get it plated. I'm your boy.
Tell me about the skillet.
Wow, this.
What does it mean to you?
This means a lot because this was the very first skillet I used when I cooked my first meal. It belonged to my grandmother, and you can see the buildup here. This is years of what she calls seasoning. It even has the buildup on the inside. And I'll tell you, cast iron skillets are hard to beat. I mean, we got some nice skillets now, but they can't shake a finger at this pot right here. So yeah, I cooked everything from potatoes, pancakes, gravy, sausage, you name it. I cooked it here and I was about 13 years old. Yep. This is the original. Oh, hey. Ladies and gentlemen, little old boys and girls, I think the beef bone soup is ready. Let's see what we're working with. Oh yeah, look at it roll. Let me go and cut that off. We're gonna give it a little stir first and see what we got here. Oh yes, look at there, look at there, look at there, all that beef and them potatoes. Let's go and get it plated. Nice hearty scoops here, let's see. Yeah. Get some of that beef in there, some of them carrots, some of that tomato. Tomato. It's all the same, baby. All right. Now y'all ready to see what this tastes like? But you know what? Let's make it a little pretty before we taste it. Let's see what we're working with here, baby. Oh yeah. I didn't hit the nail right on the head. It's your boy Anthony D. Bell. And and some people call me BS for Big Sexy. Thank you for tuning in to A Mouthful of Sin. I'm your boy Anthony D. Bell, and I'm out. Deuces.